So I mentioned in my last video on scenarios about if you were backing up a singer. If you'll remember, I talked about maybe some rhythm that would be, or pick hold techniques that you might use if you were backing up a singer solo versus in a band scenario. So I kind of want to hone in on that backing up a singer portion of it. Excuse me. Now this could be yourself or somebody else. I personally prefer when it's somebody else because it really takes the heat off of me. I can focus more on the playing, but there are some scenarios where you will be singing as well, and you just have to try to figure out what vein are you trying to get into, which, I mean, the song's really going to dictate that too. The type of song that you're singing is going to kind of determine the feel of what you're going to do. But think about, I used the example of even last time about the kind of the parallel versus almost slightly curved picking technique in a slow setting. So we'll kind of work on a slow song just to show you what that might look like. Again, I prefer somebody else to sing because I really get to focus on it. It's fun to me to have the chemistry, I guess, but to the working off of each other of a good vocalist who knows the feel, who can sense a feel, and then a musician who can feel that same wavelength, I guess. I'm not trying to get creepy here or anything, but there's just something about when everyone's firing on all cylinders, even if it's just a couple people, and the groove is there, the feel is there. I enjoy that process of music. While I do enjoy playing by myself and figuring things out, it's not the same as doing it with somebody else. But since I don't have another vocalist here, we're going to try to figure this out with I'll try to do my best to play like I would if I was playing behind another vocalist. But there's going to be the song is alive and it breathes, right? And in conversation, if you and I were to just always talk monotone, never express any emotion, never add any inflections, it's just very robotic, and everyone would think you're weird, right? So the same with music. That's a lot too. If you're playing music and it's all very robotic, and I know people talk about practicing scales and stuff, and I think scales are great to know, but if you only play scales, then you're just going to sound like a robot. A robot can play scales. Player pianos have been around for more than dozens. They've been around for like 100 years, and they can play things that you and I might not be able to just because it's been programmed into a wheel. But learning how to read inflections and sense where the song is going to go, or where it needs to go, or where your vocalist is going to take it. But we're going to go ahead and try. I'm going to sing Beulah Land, and we'll see what we can work out here. Just some type of... We want the song... If you know what the song says, that's going to help you determine where it goes in the feel of the song. So it's important to know the topic of your song. If you know the lyrics, even better. Obviously, chord progressions are gonna matter. You play the wrong chords, it's gonna throw everything off. So learning the song, or at least being familiar with the song, for me, really helps. Of course, this song I've known pretty much my whole life, so I had to pick something easier because I didn't want to really just make a big fool of myself. So we'll try this. Beulah Land. All right. I'm kind of homesick for a city to which I've never been before. No sad goodbye will be there spoken, for time won't matter anymore. Beulah land. I'm longing for you. And someday on thee I'll stand. There my home shall be eternal. Beulah land, sweet Beulah land. I'm looking now across the river to where my faith shall end inside. A few more days are here to labor. Then I will take my heavenly flight. Beulah land, I'm longing for you. And someday on thee I'll stand. There my home shall be eternal. Beulah land, sweet Beulah land. There my home shall be eternal. Beulah land, sweet Beulah land. So some things that we can look at are, and I'm not saying what I did was all right, just how I did it. So what would be inappropriate in my mind to do behind a singer singing a song such as this would be to play "There my home shall be eternal." That would not fit the feel of the song. So I think it's important for us to listen more. And if you ever follow anything of the late, great Tony Rice, he talked about listening 90% more than you played. So his ratio was I listen 90% of the time, play 10% of the time. And I think that's great advice because you and I are going to pick up so much if we're actively listening. And I'm not talking about listening as in, oh, I listen to music all the time while I'm driving down the road and it's just background noise. I'm talking about active listening. And I used to do that when I was younger. You know, a kid growing up playing bluegrass music equals I don't have many friends. So I didn't have a lot of friends, so I would put headphones on, especially during the daytime. You know, I was homeschooled, so I could get through my schoolwork pretty quickly. And I would spend hours in my room just putting headphones on, listening to CDs of the guys that I wanted to play like, and not just sitting there relaxing and just it being background noise, but I was actively listening to what they did in certain parts, pausing it, trying to figure it out myself, and then listening again, seeing, comparing A, Bing it back and forth. It was kind of a laborious process, but it really helped me progress as a player. So listening to what the song is calling for is going to be huge, and not just playing what you know. So it's going to push you a little bit. It's going to push your comfort zone out. So again, what's something else? If you again, we do that would be inappropriate, and you could get by with something simple like. But that's just, again, not the feel of the song, not the groove of the song. So play to the song, and that goes in all areas of musicianship as well. So let's see. There's an old bluegrass song that says, "Your love is like a flower," and so if I was going to be playing some rhythm behind that song specifically, and normally there would be a 5-piece band playing, so. I'll show you both. If there's a whole band playing, if there's a banjo, a fiddle, a mandolin, a bass, and a guitar, and I'm the guitar, I might play it like this. Oh, they tell me your love is like a flower. In the springtime it blossoms so fair. In the fall then it withers away, dear. And they tell me that's the way of your love. So that's just because it sounds light, because there's going to be a banjo probably doing a continuous roll, or what's called crow hopping. You're going to have a mandolin laying down a chop. All I'm doing is just filling in some little accents, because we've got a lot of rhythm going on in other pieces. But if I was going to sing that by myself, I might play a little bit more of the strings, which, by the way, there's not a rule on the guitar that says you have to play all 6 strings all of the time. In fact, I want to implore you, please don't play all 6 strings all of the time. They are there to be used, but they don't all have to be used at the same time. But so if I'm singing that same song without the full band context, and it's just me, or maybe me and a mandolin, a duo thing, a scaled down version, it might sound something like this. Oh, they tell me your love is like a flower. In the springtime it blossoms so fair. In the fall then it withers away, dear. Then they tell me that's the way of your love. So it's a little more full, but I wouldn't do that if the whole band was going, because I'm playing to the song. So I think it's important for everyone from a very, very early on. And if you've been playing for a long time, and this is something new, a new concept to you, it's something that every musician needs to know, is play to the song. And that might be different for you than it is for me, because what you might play, I might find not as tasteful as something else. But if you think, hey, that's tasteful, then that's great for you. But it just really challenges us to listen to what the song is calling for and try to fill that spot. And there is something else that I kind of want to drive home. There's power in silence and power in pauses. So instead of a rhythm that is constantly going, there's almost a power in. See, I'm coming in on, if we had a cadence. Versus. See, if the song demands it, then it actually fits really well. There's something to be said about knowing when not to play. And I know I was guilty of it, especially first starting out. I would learn some cool things, and boy, I just wanted to put them in wherever I could. And I think every player is this way. So if you find yourself doing that, don't be discouraged. Everyone has gone through that phase. You just think, man, I got to put this in there. And you do. You put it in there, I don't know, maybe a dozen times in a song, and you listen to yourself back and you think, man, why do I have to do that all the time? It's kind of embarrassing. But knowing when not to play is like a graduation point in your playing, because it's something that it's very difficult to learn because you're restraining yourself, but it's tactfully done. It's not just I'm going to take a break from playing and fold my hands, but it's giving space, it's giving air. I mentioned earlier, if everyone talked in a very robotic tone, we would have a hard time holding a conversation with that person. We also have a hard time holding conversations with people who talk a million miles a minute and don't give room for any type of ebb and flow. They just keep going and going. So I think these things are easy. In fact, if you thought about your music, and again, I'm not trying to get like weirdo type stuff, but if you think about your music like a conversation, to whereas the people that we like to talk to are people who have good communication skills. They don't talk too much. They have good inflection. They have good diction. They're just very precise on what they say. If we can think about our music in the same way, it's going to change your world. It's going to change your mindset on the whole issue, or not issue, but the whole thing. So just wanted to talk a little bit about, we talked about the right hand earlier, and I gave those examples. So I wanted to just give that example in detail about how to play with a singer versus a band situation. And again, I don't have a band here to show you the A, B side by side. Maybe that's another video for another time. I'd love to get that done. But just something that gets you thinking and something for you to work on in your practice routine or in your playing. So if you have any other things that you want to see addressed in this series, I encourage you to comment, but like and subscribe, and that really helps the channel out, and we'll see you next time.